All right, Rich Casanova here for another exciting episode of the CoFounders podcast. We are live in our Buckhead studio with our $1 billion view. If you're not familiar with Buckhead, just go to Atlanta and you'll find Buckhead pretty quick. So in this episode, we're going to have some great conversations about guys that are in startup businesses, different ventures, different levels of their business. We're going to be talking about Amazon, which is one of the hottest topics you can imagine. Just hashtag that. That'll make it go viral. Mobile fuel. Can you believe it that they're going to bring fuel to you? We're going to talk about security for corporate and personal services, where they're going to, through some new technology, implement applications. They're going to be able to provide security on site to you. So hold tight. We're going to start that in just a minute on this episode of the CoFounders podcast.
Welcome to the CoFounders podcast. Real-life stories from startups to billion-dollar iconic brands. Conversations with industry disruptors and inspiring leaders. Brought to you in part by WeWork, the world's largest network of co-working spaces. More info at WeWork.com. And the Pro Business Channel, uploading the future. More info at ProBusinessChannel.com. Now let's join our host and guests on this episode of the CoFounders podcast.
All right, we got a full studio here today. We're going to do some rapid fire questions because hang tight. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about all things startup, and we're going to begin with a first interview with Chirag T. Patel, talking about all things Amazon. And we may have a minute to talk about his other venture, which is a Startup Development Institute. We'll do that in just a moment. But Dave, if you'd introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your conversation will be during the show.
Hi, my name is Dave Tompkins, president and co-founder of Hawk. We are security at your fingertips.
I like that, right? So that should keep them hanging on there to find out more about that. And
what
then
does that mean?
Exactly, right? And then Terrence Berry, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your conversation today.
Oh, my name's Terrence Berry. I'm with Mobile Fuel. Never pay for gas again. What we're going
Whoa. Sign me up for that one. Yeah.
Sounds good, huh?
Yeah.
No, never go to the gas station again.
Okay.
Mobile Fuel, Terrence Berry.
Bring it to you, right?
Bring it to you.
All right, awesome. So I'm really intrigued by both of those conversations. But first up, a guy, if you've been in the startup space in Atlanta, you may have run across this guy. He's the co-founder, has had his fingertips in a few different enterprises, has an amazing backstory. So, Chirag, before we jump into Amazon, man, you got an interesting story. How do you tell your story from Oklahoma to where you're at today?
Yeah, so I was actually born in Oklahoma,
right.
But then when I was about 3, I moved to Milledgeville, Georgia.
Right.
I always tell people that's probably the greatest city in the world. But it's about 2 hours south from Atlanta. Grew up there. And then my parents, my mom's from New Zealand.
Right.
My dad's from India.
Right.
And they immigrated to the United States around the 70s. And then my dad was actually an engineer. He got an engineering degree in India, but when he got here, he couldn't transfer it. He couldn't find a job.
Right.
So what he did was he borrowed money. He bought a motel in Oklahoma, foreclosed on it, and then he found another one here in Milledgeville, Georgia, borrowed some more money, and he built that thing up. We lived in the motel.
You guys live there. I saw on your website. It's
So I lived
really
in room number 3 for 18 years of my life.
Wow.
My parents lived in number 1 and my sister in number 2.
Dang.
And then when I turned 18, I moved to college, went to Georgia State. And then even throughout, growing up in the business, I had the entrepreneurial around me, right? My parents were entrepreneurs. Got to college. I started a few businesses. And then I kind of knew what I was good at very early on. And then, and I'm a big networker, so I love establishing relationships, meeting new people. I started a podcast back in 2015 just to see if I could build my network.
Right.
And, everybody was doing it. Podcast was blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how do we scale this?
Right.
And then what I did was I started doing live events.
Yeah.
And I brought in the entrepreneur. And that's when I started meeting all kinds of people, tons of people. New opportunities started coming my way. And then I actually met my partner at one of my events. I had brought in the president of Tyler Perry Studios, and we did movies meets technology theme.
Right.
And he's actually a technology investor himself. But
Your
after
partner or Tyler Perry?
the president of Tyler Perry Studios.
Now you're just dropping names, whatever. Yeah, that's okay.
But I met my partner at the event, and he was like, "Look, man, you have this world around you, and I'm a big tech guy.
Right.
Why don't we merge our worlds? You know?" And that's how Startup Development Institute came about. What we do there is we help startups. We create a game plan to take them to market, and then we help them. We do development, whether they need an MVP, a prototype, a landing page, a website, whatever it is, we build it out. And then once they have it built, the hard part is getting users, downloads, right?
Oh, yeah.
Getting people on the platform. So we actually help with the marketing as well. And then if your idea starts to take off, we can help them get funding as well. So we've established relationships with private investors,
right,
angel investors, and VC firms. We don't personally fund,
right,
but like when you're ready, we can put you in touch with these people.
You have those connections, and you've collaborated with people over the years, but also you have kind of a one-stop resource or mentorship, it sounds like, as well, right?
Right, because a lot of times when you go, you have an idea, when you build it, you go to a dev shop.
Right.
And what they'll do is like, okay, we'll build it. They'll send you the invoice, but that's about it. Right. The next stop is you got to get this to everybody, right? Get it in.
That's the big hurdle, right? Yeah.
So we help with that, and then obviously, if you're self-funded and you can make it all the way through, great.
Right.
If not, you're eventually going to need funding and trying to scale the business.
Yeah. Well, we definitely want to jump into the Amazon piece there, but beforehand. Just hearing your backstory, it's a very unique upbringing.
Yeah.
How many people you run into that were their childhood or lived in a hotel?
So
pretty rare, right? Or maybe not as rare.
It's funny. Like, okay, so I'm Indian, right?
Right.
And the what you asked me earlier, the tea.
Yeah.
Why is the tea so important? So back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, when Indian people immigrated to the U.S.,
right.
There's a caste system in India. The Patels, the Shahs, the Desais. So
the Casanovas, they're not in the mix, right? They're not really in the mix, yeah.
Patels means a farmer.
Okay.
So out there, if you're a Patel, you're a farmer.
Right.
And that's what my grandparents were, and that's what my dad grew up in.
Right.
So when he immigrated here, so did tons of other Patels, right?
Right.
So growing up, it's like, oh, man, I know a Patel. Is that your brother?
I know.
Is that your sister?
Exactly.
I'm like, no, I don't even know this person.
Right, yeah.
So when I was doing the events, I always say the tea is very important because that's what differentiated me from all the other Patels.
Right, exactly, yeah. So you don't get mixed up with the other Patels. Yeah, nice. But each of you having a room in the hotel. So basically, you guys were the head of the curve. You were the precursor to the tiny home movement, right? So you created the tiny home movement. It was just in different rooms, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy because it was only a 20-room motel, right? It wasn't not the greatest part of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So my dad eventually attached a liquor store to it, so it brought in a lot of traffic, right? So you get a bottle, you get a room, you call it a day.
Because I saw that, and it's almost like I'm sure you know Gary V with his family story with starting with wine and then the liquor store and everything. So
absolutely.
Okay, so let's jump into Amazon. So you're talking. So the brand you're creating is this Amazon Take Action. Tell us the backstory of that, and then what you're bringing to the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. So back in 2015, one of my best friends, his name is Vic. He started selling on Amazon part time, right? So he has he's in IT. He's at home, and he's opened an account and he starts selling stuff, right? So he had a New Year's party. So I go there. And he's telling me, like, man, I just made like $20,000 selling on Amazon. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right? So he shows me his numbers. I'm like, what? You did this in 2 months, like less than 60 days?
Right.
I was just blown away, right? I'm like, how is this possible? So I started researching. And then last year, I got into it. I opened my own account, started selling. Within 1 week, I had $1,000 in sales. No joke.
Wow.
And I was like, man, this platform is really, really powerful. And, so I had my other business, SDI, still, and I couldn't concentrate as much time I wanted.
Right.
So this year, I kind of started doing like 20, 30 hours focusing on Amazon. And me and my partner, Vic, we're like full on, 7 days a week right now.
Right.
Just in October, I'll tell you exactly where we're at right now. I think we're... I will show you a live
Okay.
27,500 in revenue.
Jeez.
In October alone.
Right.
And this is selling home goods, toys, bath towels. I mean, you name it.
Now, is this drop ship where you
No.
Okay.
So what we do is we find the product,
Right.
and then we package it.
Right.
We send it to Amazon warehouse.
Right.
So Amazon is the one that ships it to their customers. We don't do anything.
Right. Exactly.
We don't send it to our customers. We just supply the inventory to Amazon.
But you kind of buy it through wholesalers then?
Anything. You could start a wholesale account. You could do private label, or if you could do retail arbitrage. Basically, what you do is go to Walmart, Target, different stores, find products that they rank really well,
Right.
are hot sellers. If you you want to buy low, sell high,
Right.
And then you put the margins up, do the listings on Amazon, send it out, and then once, say you come on the Amazon website, you buy one of our products, Amazon will ship it to you Prime in 2 days.
Yeah, we get a lot of stuff on Amazon here at the studio as well as everybody at their home. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a phenomenon. Now, a little off topic, but I ran across something recently, Amazon business model about textbooks, like reselling college textbooks,
Yeah.
and you don't even touch the product or whatever, right? Have you heard about this
I
play?
don't know about touching the product because there's people I know that they sell thousands of textbooks,
Right.
But they actually have to go and buy them themselves.
But it's kind of a buyback thing, right? So I don't want to get too off topic here, but I was watching this thing, and the premise was what they're pitching is Amazon will buy back the textbooks at a higher rate, and then there's a shipping company that will send them out. I don't know.
Okay.
It was pretty involved, but so what you're doing is you're buying items at wholesale, and then you send them to Amazon. Mm-hmm. Now, what happens if they don't sell or whatever? I mean, are you because you're not handling the inventory here, but it sits there for a period of time, right?
Right. So basically, you're managing an online store.
Right.
It's your store.
Right.
So you have to do some research in the product you buy, your inventory, right? You don't want to buy product that's you think is not going to sell.
Right.
So Amazon has ranking.
Right.
Right. They'll rank a product. If a product is like ranked 500,000, you know that product is probably going to be a slow seller. It may take a couple of months, right? But if a product is ranked, 500, 1,000, 10,000, 20,000, that's a hot product. It's going to sell pretty quickly. I'll give you an example. A couple of weeks ago, you heard of the game Fortnite?
Yeah.
Yeah, very popular, right? So
Yeah, I think I won it last week. I wasn't sure, but yeah.
So Monopoly came out with this Fortnite game, right? And my partner got a
Monopoly
bunch.
did? Like
Monopoly.
Parker's Brothers?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can get it at Walmart, whatnot.
Yeah.
So they came out with a Fortnite edition. My partner bought like 100, 200 of them, whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was questioning him, is this going to sell?
Right, yeah.
So we send it to Amazon, right? And literally, he had the listing. It wasn't open to the public.
Right, yeah.
So he clicked the button on the app, opened it.
Right.
In 30 minutes, he sold 3 of them.
So
right?
you're onto something, yeah.
Yeah, so he waits. We actually wait because the fourth quarter is like the very, very busy season for Amazon.
Yeah.
With the holidays, this next 60 days it's going to be very, very busy for online sellers because everybody, even eBay sellers, it's just anything goes.
Yeah, virtually. I've heard a number. It's staggering. Most just even the bricks and mortar stores during that holiday window, they sell 30% of their entire year.
Yeah.
Just in those few weeks, right?
Absolutely.
So a couple other points here. So how does this compare with like a Shopify or running your own site, right?
Yeah, so the great thing about Amazon, they give you the platform. They already have the brand.
Huge audience there,
right?
yeah, worldwide.
So the great part about this business is anybody can start it.
Right.
Right? Like you can start your own account for $40.
Right.
Right. But the thing is, you have to take action. That's our company name, Amazon Take Action.
Yeah.
And we're actually coming out with a training course in January.
That's what I was wondering. So
Yeah.
that's the business model, right? So you're going to start offering to teach this to others, right?
Yeah, we're getting a lot of questions about how we're doing this.
Right.
And we're pretty transparent. Like if you join our meetup group, we post all our numbers weekly, monthly. You can follow our journey on Instagram at Amazon Take Action.
Now, this meetup group, so have you hosted some in-person events?
Our first one is next week.
Okay.
And then we're actually doing an e-commerce event starting next year. So we're going to get together with the e-commerce community here in Atlanta, network with some people who are really crushing it, kind of take their knowledge, share it with our audience.
Now, we get just a couple minutes here left, so I'm just trying to wrap my head around the last point here. So is Amazon so huge of a platform, and again, buy low, sell high, but are you marketing this on social media? You're driving traffic to your Amazon store, or does Amazon, once you post it? So I got that question, then a follow-up question.
Yeah, absolutely. So we don't need to market our products because Amazon, it's self-marketing, right? So, for example, if I send in an ABC item, right, I list it, I know it's a hot item, it's going to sell.
Right.
Because if you think right now, 50% of people are online shopping, right?
Right.
That's why Toys R Us went out of business.
Exactly,
and Sears is having trouble.
Yep.
People want convenience. You get the 2-day shipping, so eventually that item's going to sell, and Amazon brings us the audience. The traffic is there. I
mean, it's almost like what's new is old again, but it's the premise that visually, I think people could maybe wrap, if they're not familiar with Amazon, obviously they purchase stuff on there, but in terms of marketing and what the business model you're talking about, it's as if you had a widget you're bringing to the marketplace and it was at Target or at Whole Foods, they already have all their shoppers, all the traffic's built in, right? You just need to get on the shelf.
Right.
Which is the other question is, if you're bringing a similar widget, other people are also selling it. So, I mean, we may run out of time for this question, but because I'm trying to figure out, is it like an AdWords where you can buy a ranking and get, because when I, search something, people are going to buy from the first page typically, right?
Yeah. So, okay. I think, so there's two, what we do is Amazon FBA. Okay. So we have hundreds of different items we can list. There's another aspect to Amazon called private label. So, for example, I can take this microphone and white label it,
right,
and it'll be under my own brand.
Right.
Now that I can market, right? I could do online advertising.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you see a lot of people on Shark Tank, and that's a common question now that comes up, or a conversation part of it, is, we've developed this widget, and we're killing it on Amazon, but it's their own widget.
It's their own
so
brand.
that's another
and that's
version.
Called private label.
Okay, I got that, yeah. But you're not selling my microphone, because I need this.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so Nick, any questions here for Chirag? Okay, so we're going to bring, Nick's our engineer in case you're listening in, so he'll joining us in our roundtable discussion, maybe some other questions as well. So Chirag T. Patel, so how would folks find you on the WWWs?
Yeah, our website will be up actually this week, AmazonTakeAction.com.
All right.
We'll have a sign-up sheet there, our emails. Feel free to reach out anytime. Also connect with us on Instagram at Amazon Take Action.
So do a Google search, anything Amazon Take Action, you're going to find you there. Okay, cool. So hang tight. I'm going to ask you to pipe in for some questions with our other guests here as well. So again, Rich Casanova here, listening to the CoFounders podcast here on the Pro Business Channel networks, and it's our pleasure to introduce our next guest. We're going to switch from online selling to offline delivering your mobile fuel. I don't think you're selling mobile fuel on Amazon yet, are you?
No, sir. No, sir.
So, Terrence, we met at an interesting networking event recently, and it took me a minute to kind of grasp what you were doing. But this whole idea of mobile fuel, it kind of explains itself, right? But it's, I don't know with anybody else, if you have any competitors, I've never heard of this premise, right? So basically, you're bringing fuel to people wherever they are.
To their job, to their home. We try to give you that convenience where you never have to go to a gas station again. Mobile fuel has been around for 10 years. We're in 18 different cities.
Wow.
We're new to the Atlanta area, though.
Okay.
5 months in the Atlanta area. I'm the Atlanta district manager of Mobile Fuel. We're growing faster than we can possibly realize. We have a lot of competitors in the Atlanta area as well.
Okay.
But we're in a market of our own. And it's simple. It's not complex. We're selling gas, and we're giving you the convenience of bringing it to you. But we also have other amenities when you sign up and become a member, because it's like an exclusive club.
Right, yeah.
Everyone can't be a member, and if you decide to be a member, you will receive mobile fuel, you will receive mobile mechanics. We're not going to drop any motors. What we will do, we'll change oil, top off things. Our drivers do a 32-point inspection when they do go around your vehicle. We also do mobile detailing, and we also do mobile emissions. Mobile emissions won't be coming out till December, but it's in the works right now.
But that detail, I mean, you're kind of making it not even a one-stop shop, because I've already stopped my car, right? You're bringing the shop to the car, right, from a detail. But the idea of, and it's a competitive price point, right, in terms of the cost of the fuel?
We're not going to beat every gas station, of course, because we got to make a nickel here and there. But we're going to be competitive. We're mostly, because we deal mostly with fleets, we normally target our gas prices to the local gas station where the company is at or where the fleets are at, and that normally averages out.
And then part of the key component of your business model is the subscription. So $20 a month, and then you're a member, right?
$20 a month, and then you're a member. We also have special consideration for school teachers and things of that nature. That we're coming out now with a program from all school teachers, all administration, and they will get it for $29 one-time fee.
Oh, okay. So, instead of the monthly, yeah.
Right.
So now we didn't talk about this beforehand, but this $20 a month for those fleets, is that per vehicle?
Well, the fleet companies don't pay $20. It's on individual clients. Okay. The fleets, because of the volume of gas, we don't want to add any extra fees on. Like I said, we want as many fleets as possible. So.
Yeah, so talk to us about this. Well, obviously the fleet is the biggest part of your business. I'm just thinking from an individual standpoint. Nick and I were talking about this the other day when we were at your site. We had a conversation with you. So if my car's parked somewhere, you need access to my gas tank.
Depending on the type of car that you have, some gas tanks pop open on their own. Some, they have to be popped from the inside. But our trucks have 25 to 50-foot hoses, so a lot of times you don't have to move your car. Right. And it makes it more accessible for us when we're dealing with fleets or with individual clients.
And so I go to an app and then just schedule you, whether I'm at home or work or vacation.
Maybe give all my secrets out.
I know, exactly. Yeah.
We actually launching our app at the Four Seasons in February. Okay. And this app here, I can't tell you too much, but
come on, give us a scoop, Terrence, whatever, yeah. I won't tell anybody.
The app is going to talk to the car. We're going to know before you know that you need gas, whether your tire pressure is low, whether you need a top off on your oil. Wow. This app is going to revolutionize the fuel business.
No, I can see that now, and then wait till the autonomous cars comes out. So you'll almost be like following the car, like when you see the jet fueled in midair or whatever, right?
By that time, we have robots doing this.
I know, exactly, right. So talk to us about the fleet application. So who are some of the what's the smallest to the largest fleet, and how many states are you guys in now?
We're in 18 different states.
Wow, that's crazy.
Houston, Miami are our biggest markets, but we deal with Cox Studios. We deal with the Post Office, Enterprise, Rick Hendrick Motors. Those are some of our bigger accounts. We also have small accounts, local limousine companies such as A National. We deal with Aisle Transportation. They deal with wheelchair. So we welcome all business.
And yeah, we do too. So the other question I had is, I think it was somewhere on your website, this premise of like when a company buys a fleet of vehicles, whether it's auction or a fleet, they don't want their people showing up and it's unknown how much gas is in there, right? So you come and fuel all those, right?
The thing when you're dealing with fleets, most fleets use gas cards. Gas cards can be abused. Yeah. There's theft.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
There's a lot of theft going on. So we offer that convenience and that safety in that department. But we also, there's so much going on at the gas station nowadays. And we save fleet companies time and we save them money because most of their drivers have to go fuel up. You never know what's going on, how long they're there. We spoke about the theft that can be going on. So all the way around, we are more convenient.
Big time. And even what's happening, we're going to talk to Dave in our next segment about security. There's, I don't know if it's just an Atlanta phenomenon or it's happening around the country, but there's just crazy stuff going on with people, their cars getting stolen right there at the gas station, all kinds of chaos going on. So if as a family person on that individual account for that $20 a month, I know that Nick and I were talking about this the other day, is that sometimes when you're driving home, you're like, I'm pretty low on gas, but I don't want to stop late at night or whatever, right? Not just for security reasons, you're just kind of tired. Mm-hmm. So imagine you guys coming up at
fueling you at your job.
Yeah, but even at the house before I leave in the morning or whatever, right? And I wake up, and that's one less errand or issue I have to deal with. So last topic or question is, I used to work for a company. I don't know if you're familiar with Amerifleet.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to make an introduction to you for my finder's fee or something. Yeah, I'll make an introduction for you because that could be a huge partnership because they move vehicles all over the country. I worked for them for a while. It was a long story with my brother, but we went to, in 6 weeks, went to 38 states in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Because their job is to move one vehicle, like for a salesperson, to another city, another state. But they need to be fueled at all those drop-off points.
They
and
also
points.
have, they deal with a lot of diesel gas as well. We only deal with premium and unleaded.
Well, really, they're only diesels in their big trucks.
Right.
Most of their fleet is your standard, passenger car. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll talk later.
We have to talk later.
Yeah.
Rich.
Okay. So Terrence, how would folks find you guys?
www.mobilefuel.me.
Okay.
And this is where you find us at. You can open up our website. We're actually having a new website being designed at this very moment, but the current one is very accurate in the things that we do. And for those who tune in, those who sign up, your first fill-up will be free.
Sweet. Okay, get the biggest car you have that you own or whatever, right? So mobile fuel can be found everywhere, come to you except for on Amazon. But maybe you can talk later, maybe get it delivered from Amazon. All right, so up next, our next segment, we're going to have a conversation with Dave Tompkins. So you were talking earlier about Hawk. So Dave, jump into this. So before we talk about what you guys are doing in the security space, we were talking a little bit before we went on your backstory.
So I grew up in Birmingham, nearby, and wanted to follow my family to go to the University of Alabama. I'm a big Roll Tide fan. Dad kind of stepped in and said, "Not Alabama, not the Southeast. You've got a higher calling." So I went to West Point and was a very proud veteran, and that's part of the. And after I got out of the Army, I moved to California. And my first week of work, I was walking home one night, and I got mugged at gunpoint.
Dang.
By teenage members, apprentices of a large gang out there. And it obviously it terrorized me, and that just sort of kind of earmarked that. And then 15 years later, I met my business partner after I'd moved to Louisville, and he wanted to. We were just friends, and he said, "You worked in Silicon Valley all these years. Tell me how to be a good entrepreneur." And based on the way that the questions he asked and the dialogue that ensued over the next 30 minutes, I'm like, I don't even need to tell you. You know more than enough to be a good entrepreneur. Fast forward 7 years later, he and his wife were the victims of a very terrifying home invasion.
Wow.
And they lived in a gated community.
Jeez.
Tried everything they could to get security, and finally his better half said, "We can't live this way." And so he took the matter into his own hands and started Hawk. And so while we're a business, our story is very, very personal. And, just the horrible incident this past weekend in Pittsburgh, stuff that happens across the street at Lenox Mall, across the street at Phipps. I mean, this is we're on a mission.
Right. And talk to us a little bit about your ventures. You mentioned before we went on the air, you did a successful venture in Silicon Valley and some others as well.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So I got my graduate degree from Stanford and did what a lot of folks do there. Just Silicon Valley's right there. So let's give it a whirl. And so that was a really, really good experience for me. I was basically involved in 3 startups. One sold for in the billions.
Wow.
So it was a very big success, and I got to travel all over the world as a result of working for the company.
Right.
And one sort of was in the middle. We sold it, and the investors were sort of happy.
Right. It wasn't a total loss, but not a big win. Huge. Yeah.
There you go. It was a single with an asterisk, if you will.
Right.
And then the other one was the investors weren't happy. So I learned a lot through successes and a lot through failures out there.
So you don't have to divulge the brand, but what the ultra successful one, what industry or space was that in?
We were basically Google before there was Google, except we were pointed toward B2B and not toward B2C.
Oh, okay.
So we were basically all the marketplaces that happened late 90s, early 00s. We were providing searchable content for those B2B marketplaces.
Well, I may connect you off the air. There's a new venture that we've come across. We're actually the media partner for them, and they're a little bit in that space. but Silicon Valley success stories. They actually there's a whole team of guys, but I went out there just last month to visit with them, and they were involved in the Rhapsody startup and a bunch of other ones.
Oh, wow,
so
cool.
We'll talk off air about that.
Absolutely.
But so Hawk, talk to us about your value proposition in the marketplace and your business model.
Yeah, so basically our essential value proposition is that we're security at your fingertips. So we basically develop technology that connects elite security professionals to those in need, those being citizens. We also often talk about the 3 R's: real estate, residential, and retail, and also corporations in need of security. And we. Our product has sort of a look and feel of, say, an Uber, but our business model is more like Airbnb. Okay. So you're not going to tap our app and someone's not going to be there immediately,
right.
like Uber is.
Right.
But we give the user really the power of choice. So you can select your security professional or professionals based on their credentials, based on their rates, on their appearance.
Right.
This past weekend, we had we're doing a open house in Buckhead, and the agent went through multiple candidates who wanted to be the security at that open house, and she picked the one that was absolutely on brand for her. And we love that about our feature and our app.
So it's kind of like Tinder for security, whatever. You can swipe left or right. I'm not sure which way you're supposed to swipe, but yeah.
That's an upcoming version.
Yeah. So and these are the folks that you're are part of the team. Again, these are individuals. These are real people coming on site, and they're ex-military officers in the.
Great question.
Right.
These are credentialed, licensed, certified security professionals.
Okay.
So they may be doing this part time. They're
Right.
1099 contractors,
Okay.
so they're free agents, but they may be working at a security company. They may be active or retired law enforcement.
Right.
And we see our future with veterans.
Okay.
I guess I'm biased being a veteran,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
we like to see a world where our veterans are continuing to serve, and they're continuing to serve, post their military service through Hawk.
Right. And feel like they have a home there or a place with it, right?
Absolutely.
And being 1099, so they can kind of engage as much as time they want to allocate, right?
Absolutely. They can all they have to do we basically have 2 apps available in the App Store. One is for the client, so
Right.
that's for all of us to download so that it's a free app, and the second is for the actual security resources.
Right.
And so they can turn themselves on, turn themselves off, and when they're on, they can accept work or not accept work.
I mean, you're really playing into this huge. It's not even a sandbox. I mean, it's just like a massive desert, like the Mojave Desert of the shared economy principle, right?
Yes.
So there's people with those expertise. They got free time. They certainly have the experience, because you're not doing a whole lot of training per se with these people because they have the background. But then obviously you're training them in terms of the application which you guys are offering to the marketplace, right?
Exactly. They have to. We go through a vetting process,
Right, yeah.
of course, and background checks and some questions and stuff, and we do provide some education content for them.
Sure.
But that is really for them to be better at what they do for themselves. We're not employing these folks. They're their own contractors. So we do provide some additional education and give them some access to, additional training that if they want to invest themselves in, they can do that, because the better they are, the more they get paid.
So 2 questions here for you. How would you break down the percentage in terms of commercial accounts, if you will, versus individual? And on the commercial, talk about some areas of that. Is it, you mentioned retail? Is it the housing, the subdivisions? We were looking on your site, and you showed where there was, when they build out a huge residential development, a lot of times they're putting in some appliances or expensive stuff, and it's not complete. No one's living there. So it needs to be secured. Yes or yes?
Yes and yes. Property checks is a big area of business for us, because also, in actually, occupied residential communities, that's a big area for us. And unfortunately, Atlanta is not safe, and at night, here in Buckhead, we hear
Things
gunshots,
happen, yeah.
we hear car break-ins, and we're basically there to provide deterrence against that.
That's the operative word, right? So if it's visible, people are going to the perpetrators are going to think twice, whatever, right?
Yes.
So break down that percentage though. Again, like if you had to kind of ballpark, how many people are what the time allocated for those commercial properties versus individuals versus residential or retail or.
Yeah, we're trying to be really focused right now.
Okay.
Everyone's asking for us. We
Yeah.
see that demand is almost infinite, unlimited.
Yeah.
But we've read a lot about marketplaces. We've studied Uber, we've studied Airbnb, we've also studied marketplaces that have failed, and the big two things fail marketplaces. One is the lack of domain expertise. We think we have. We have domain expertise in spades, so we think we're okay there. The second is that companies try to scale too quickly. They come under pressure from their investors and they try to scale too quickly. We're trying to be very focused. Our primary market right now is Atlanta.
But you in your notes here, and soon the U.S. and beyond, right?
Well, we dream big. We dream big. But we are in Atlanta, where our primary focus is. We're very focused on real estate.
Okay.
We're focused on residential communities. When corporations ask for our services, usually it's because they're dissatisfied with their brick and mortar security company. So we're actually working with your sponsor right now, and working with them.
With our sponsor?
Yeah, with your sponsor.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
With WeWork, and
nice.
So that's one of our corporate clients.
Nice.
As we look ahead, we think our first stage of growth will be more in the B2B and the more corporate. But if we are really going to realize our dreams and our aspirations, it'll ultimately be B2C.
Okay, so you answered one question. I checked off the list about scalability. Two other questions is, so if your folks are monitoring the premises, if you will, and something goes down, what's their call to action? I mean, they don't step in, they're not crime fighters or whatever, right? I mean, what's the call to action, I guess, when they see something suspicious?
They have a protocol,
okay.
Based on whatever the scenario is. They have a protocol that they follow,
okay.
And it almost always does not use of force.
Exactly. Yeah. It's more preventive and having that presence, and then they call in the professionals.
Exactly.
So to speak, right?
We are a complement to law enforcement. We are absolutely not a replacement of law enforcement.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we have a bunch of other questions. Is there anything we left off the list or whatever? Actually, Nick, do you got a question here for Dave?
Yeah, sure. Just kind of going on to just continuing the conversation. What are future plans either this year or in the next 5 years that you guys plan on doing?
Great question. So right now we have some project work going on in our next target markets. So we've selected a couple of national markets, if you will, big markets like Los Angeles,
right?
And we've also selected major cities in the southeastern U.S. So ultimately we want to be national and global, but you don't get there overnight. So we're starting in Atlanta, then to the southeast, probably to Los Angeles and beyond. We see this happening over the next couple of years. Heretofore, we've been founder funded. So me and my two founder partners have been funding the company.
Right.
We are just getting outside funding coming in. We'll do probably a large funding round sometime next year. And right now, demand is pulling us, but at some point next year we'll get the big funding and push it.
Yeah, it sounds like you already have a proof of concept in the track record, and now you can have those conversations with investors. Okay, so we got a couple of roundtable questions here before we wrap it up. But so Dave, how would folks find you guys? www.hawque.com. So Hawk with the QUE.
Exactly.
Okay, awesome. Okay, guys, so Nick included. Gentlemen, questions here for the roundtable. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, actually, I think you might have already answered it, Dave. What is the fastest that security can get to the client once you order it?
We recommend 4 hours.
Okay.
And we will entertain as close in as 2 hours. But we're encouraging our clients to book 4 hours and out
Gotcha.
at this point.
Okay.
But the B2B would be more of a contract service, right?
Yes,
an ongoing.
that's more scheduled. But for the episodic stuff, it's like for one of your events. We'd prefer that you do it some days in advance because you know in advance. But
Right.
let's say it's day of event and you're like, gosh, we got 50% more RSVPs than we thought. We need 2 more people. Then please contact us and or contact us through the app, and we'll have those 2 people there for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you may need to bring some people out, bring his team out for your meetup group in case it gets out of control, right? I tell people maybe we'll use your services for the studio, but I tell people so far no one's ever been injured during the recording of one of our shows or whatever. Yeah, so guys, any other questions?
I had one
Okay, go ahead,
question,
Nick. Yeah.
For Terrence, it's such an interesting concept. How would that work for like shared driving services?
Yeah.
Shared driving services.
Right.
Every service can use mobile fuel. Mobile fuel can appeal to any client and any service.
But I mean, if you're talking, I think you're talking about, say, Lyft or Uber or whatever, right?
Right, exactly.
So if, because I've used Lyft quite a bit. We actually had the GM here from Lyft in the studio, and if I've never been in a vehicle where that person runs out of gas, because I think that would be probably a 0 stars, right, or -5, right?
We just did a big program with Uber
Right.
a month ago. We gave them 2,000 gallons of free gas.
Jeez.
And this until we signed up 140 Lyft drivers.
Okay.
The only thing is Lyft drivers don't, because of their schedule,
Right.
they can't be put on the schedule.
Sure,
Because
exactly.
it's a high demand.
And they don't even know where their car's going to be.
They don't even know where their car's going to be.
Right.
So we love dealing with them.
But
I don't want to say but.
Yeah, because
we prefer our clients when we can schedule them.
Sure, yeah.
It's kind of inconvenient to try to put our Lyft drivers inside of our schedule when we don't know where they're going to be at. But
And they don't know, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
it goes back to that that visual of the planes fueling in midair, right? You'd have to follow them down 400 and fuel while they're,
Right.
they turn off their app. But you already brought some of those people to your.
we did. We tried a 30-day trial program.
Okay, yeah.
It didn't work. It wasn't as successful as we liked because of the
Those
the
challenges,
scheduling.
yeah.
It was very challenging, and but it was worth a try. It was
Okay.
definitely worth a try.
Yeah.
I have a question. My hobby is writing, and I'd love to be your biographer. And the title of the book would be "What's Behind Door Number 3." And living in room number 3 growing up. What
That's a good one.
What was there a magical moment when you said, "I'm just going to be a serial entrepreneur," because that's what you've become, and a successful one at that?
Actually, at the time when you're young, you don't know any better, right? So my whole family lived in the motel. I was 3 years old. My sister was actually born, and she lived there too. So growing up, and I had all my friends live in normal houses.
Right.
The bus used to come pick me up at the motel, and everybody would make fun of me, like, why don't you live in a house?
Yeah.
I didn't even know,
Right.
So being in a 24-hour business, it came innate. Like, you become immune to it. Like 2 o'clock in the morning, like, you got customers coming in to rent a room or whatever, and you just kind of get used to it. And naturally, being in that environment, you learn so much, from customer service to P&L to business operations. So when I got to college, I was like, I already knew what I wanted to do. And in college, I started a real estate flipping homes business. After that, I did a recruiting business. I tried all kinds of stuff. Some of the stuff failed, but I learned so much, And then eventually I got to the point where I am today, and it just kind of, things came naturally to me because I was at a very early age. I had learned so much. Did I answer your question?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it was an adventure, though. I wouldn't take it back for anything. So
It's definitely unique. You mentioned you're a copywriter or a hobby.
There's my mom's gonna I don't want her to die frustrated. There's a big Southern novel in my future.
Oh, okay. Well, this afternoon show actually is coming up. This afternoon is actually author talk show.
Okay.
So we interview authors. Yeah. So it'll be
Absolutely.
interesting. Yeah. So when you're ready, let us know for that one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So last, I know we're already kind of over time here a little bit, but real quick, kind of rapid fire for each of you. Are there any entities or groups you work with in terms of partners or partnerships? And if so, can we help further that with PBC or the people here at the table? So are you looking for people to team up with you and partner or?
At the moment, I think we're okay.
Okay.
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, as far as teaming up, we'll always welcome any clients who want to do business with us. We want our service to service everyone, every company, every individual throughout the Metro Atlanta area.
I guess what I'm trying to say is there are complementary businesses that could kind of be a referral source for you, like a funnel. So I'm trying to think in terms of fuel, maybe car dealerships or finance companies or I mean, obviously you're looking for the direct introduction to the fleet accounts, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
for us, probably like, have you heard of like Uline or some of these packaging companies that offer box tape, boxes?
Oh, yeah,
and whatnot
exactly. Right, yeah.
For shipping materials,
Right.
Dymo label printers, things like that.
yeah, that's a good example because
Yeah.
those conversations are coming up with it, right?
Yeah.
During the course, yeah. Dave?
We're very grateful for our partners and friends and family, if you will.
Right.
One is headquartered right down the road here, Rubicon Global.
Oh, yeah.
And also WeWork.
Right.
Sotheby's Realty, other realties.
Yeah.
We also very, very proud of our relationship with Now Account, which is basically a very innovative financial solution for B2B that's headquartered here in Atlanta. And if you haven't heard of them yet, you'll hear of them soon.
No, we had the CEO from Now Account.
Laura.
Here. Yeah.
Okay.
She's been in the studio at least once. It's
Yeah,
been a while. It's been a while back.
good
yeah.
friend.
Yeah. And then we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but the real estate industry for realtors being on site, right? That's for open houses and everything, right?
You know, there's a very happy element to it and a sad
Yeah,
element to it.
right.
The sad element to it is open houses have become crime scenes.
Yeah.
A happy element to it is that we're providing our security for home showings, for open houses, for property
That'd be
checks.
awesome.
And
Talk about a deterrent. I mean, because I was watching something just the other day on the news where people are going in and they're scouting out these properties and they're actually taking stuff from the home in their purses and everything else, right? If you had somebody walking around, in a uniform, they're going to probably go to the next house, right?
my favorite soundbite so far from that model is when it came to me and said, "This hawk, it's addictive." And that's good to hear. That's good feedback.
All right. So Rich Casanova once again for another episode of the CoFounders podcast. So apparently you can find security, fuel, and cool stuff all at your fingertips.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Co-Founders Podcast, brought to you in part by WeWork, the world's largest network of co-working spaces. More info at WeWork.com. And the Pro Business Channel, uploading the future. More info at ProBusinessChannel.com. Use the social media links here to share this show. To submit a guest request or listen to more episodes, visit CoFoundersPodcast.com.